So we must move on to one of the topics that causes the most friction between me and my audience. So I'll try and be clear again what I mean. New Nigel Farage says Zia Yusuf calling the police on Rupert Lowe was wrong. Really, Nigel? Was it actually him? Was it actually his fault? Why did it take you like a month to come out and say this? Is this just your way of getting rid of yet another notable right-wing figure under you? Or maybe it's true and there's some good reason why he delayed it this long. Don't know. Either way, it's been suggested that Nigel is either intentionally or just in effect cancelling every other promising right-wing figure, and that he himself is just a face of betrayal. Maybe. It's not my chief assumption, but maybe. My chief assumption is that he's just a massive narcissist. But very charismatic and capable people tend to be. They don't have to be as big a narcissist as his actions indicate. And I don't suspect he was uninvolved in the cancelling of Rupert Lowe either. But I bring you back to my previous statement on Nigel. Say what you want about him. Who can do what he can do? Most successful politician in the UK since Tony Blair, which is only to say in numbers, not necessarily in the worth of the achievement. Show me a right-wing party that is capable of winning an election. I mean, his wasn't a few years ago, but it is now. And maybe Rupert Lowe starts a party, and by the next election, it's good to go. But it's not there yet. And I have my doubts as to whether any other political figure can rouse the public support as Nigel has. Everyone says Blair, I know he did more good. Well, Nigel hasn't got into office yet, so give him time. I think Blair probably did a lot more bad as well than Nigel's likely to do. So, not sure about this. Obviously, the optimistic outlook is that Nigel had some good reason for waiting this long to say this, and that it wasn't really him that did the coup, it was all Zia Yusuf. But that's a bit too good to be true. I suspect he was complicit. I don't suspect it was part of some conspiracy, but I suspect it wasn't the right thing to do. However, I am not a political idealist. I'm a political realist, or I tried to be. And so I'm not just going to fail to support a party because they have flaws, even if they're quite major flaws, because compared to the other parties, they're angels. So I refuse, as seems to be implicitly required. I refuse to not be glad when he succeeds. And in light of that, local election results in the UK 2025. Reform, 677 council seats. Next, Lib Dems with 370, so half as much, a little more than half as much. Conservatives 319 and Labour 98. Independent 89 and Green 79. So Reform blisteringly far ahead in the local councillor seats. Now, as Motch has rightly pointed out, these kinds of local elections, people don't vote in them exactly the same way they do in the general, and also less people vote in them. So it's not fully representative of the national tendencies, but I suspect that they are representative enough for us to say, yeah, if there was a general election right now, Reform would likely win. But yes, this is still pretty good news. Reform control now is this updated actually? Oh, are these just all only ones that were? Let's fine. Let's just make sure it's updated. I guess so. So these regions are now locally, the councils are, I think, controlled by Reform, which is good, I think. So let's have a look on the mayor results as well. Also these two. Yeah, so mostly the Midlands and a bit of the North. It's interesting because there's a little overlap there in some of the most Muslim concentrated areas, but not a strong overlap. Wolf says, Reform has always been the best of bad options. We saw their based blacks advertising during the last election. I don't remember that, but I mean, Zia Yusuf he's definitely Arab. I can't remember if he's Muslim or not, but yeah, they're not as I would want them to be. Ronald says, I think those were the only regions where they actually had elections in this. Yeah. That is what I assumed. Yeah, the grey areas, they didn't have elections there. Still, pretty significant reform win. And again, I insist on being glad about this when there are results in reform's favor. I'm not going to jump in with, here's the flaws, as if to say that it is not something to celebrate. It's a celebration with caveats, but it is still worthy of celebration. Yes, I think this is good news. And I did see an analysis, though I don't have it open currently, which said that if, and obviously there's a lot of caveats here because it's not exactly one-to-one, but if the voting patterns from this election were extrapolated to a general election, Reform would have won by a colossal margin, bigger than Boris Johnson's margin. I think something like 350 seats ahead, something crazy like that. So yeah, good news. Let's see what else we've got.